If you've had the feeling that the Paris Olympics felt just a little more different this year than the previous ones, just a little more special, you may have had the thought that maybe you weren't just paying attention before, or maybe just it was social media and the Olympics algorithm found you. Well, there's science behind that feeling, and I'll talk about that on another reel. But the Paris Olympics did do something that was special, and they changed the game. There were a handful of details that Paris did for their Olympics term that had never been done before, and I found them fascinating, and so I thought I would share that with you. Let's start with a Trocadero, at one of Paris's most iconic sites. It was transformed into the Park of Champions. It was an area dedicated to celebrating athletes' victories. They walked the runway with their medals. They took pictures with fans. They stayed on stage as long as they wanted to. They weren't booted off. There was not a time limit. It was simply amazing. It was infectious. It was quite special. And beyond celebrating their wins at their venue, they got to celebrate with a whole new crowd. And I got super emotional because the day I went, they actually brought the surfers. Now, remember this guy? He was here from Tahiti. And so instead of being isolated from the event, they were here and they got to celebrate, and we got to celebrate with them. The best part was this was a free event for the public, and this was the first time a space like this where Olympians and the public could celebrate their wins at the Park of Champions. So Paris utilized existing landmarks and infrastructure in an unprecedented way by turning the entire city basically into an Olympic venue. So what I mean is that it has not been done in this way before. In addition to using existing venues, they created stadiums in places like the Eiffel Tower Stadium or Parc Urbain at La Concorde with the skateboarders, the BMX, the 3-on-3 basketball, and of course the Seine, where you could just pop to the side and see events like marathon swimming. This offered visitors an immersive experience where they could enjoy events in the heart of the city's most famous locations. Now, this one, once I found out the story, I fell in love with the Paris mascot even more. The Paris 2024 Olympic mascot is called the Frisius, and it's in the shape of a hat that was worn during the French Revolution. So it's a very important symbol to the French. But for the first time ever, Paris introduced the first ever disabled mascot. It's the counterpart to the Olympics mascot for the Paralympic Games. And you can see here, it's his bionic leg, and it just means so much to making sure people with disabilities are seen. Even though Paris itself is one of the worst places to get around if you have a disability. Did you know that the purple track at Stade de France, where they did the athletics events, was the first time that it was that color ever? So of course we know they changed it from the traditional red brick clay color that we're used to. Did you love the color? I thought it was simply gorgeous. Now, Carl Lewis said that he had never seen the track any other color before, but actually at the 2006 Rio Olympics, it was blue. Remember the opening ceremonies? The event was along and on the River Seine rather than in a traditional stadium. And it was the first time an Olympic opening ceremony was held outside of a stadium. Finally, Paris, a city that tries to be intentional, being greener. At least that's what they say. So they set out to be the greenest games yet, and they had a plan with strong emphasis on reducing their carbon footprint, using renewable energy sources, and repurposing existing structures rather than building too many new ones. And I noticed that there weren't any single-use options for buying your drinks. Of course, if we take a deeper dive, we will find some of the greenwashing, but you know.